everybody, welcome to the channel, Glenn's Garage. Glenn here. Hey, I'm working on, as we all know, my original 1990 Suzuki 250 from back in the day. I originally purchased this vehicle about a year old from someone, pretty much bone stock with a couple items that were on it, like pipe and other than that, but it was a beautiful bike. And we ran it around here in Southern California for many years. Long backstory to this. We'll get you've seen that in the previous videos, but let me get you to where we're at right now. We're working on the drivetrain. What we're doing is again trying to get this bike to run and then slowly go through it, rather than completely disassembling it and becoming a project bike, building it up from scratch. We're going to see where it sits after about 10 to 15 years, maybe almost 20 years. I have to go back and double check it of not running and just kind of sitting around. So here's the bike, and we'll get you some better angles, but we're stickered up. We're green stickered from back in the day, back when I originally started getting a little bit better in terms of racing. We had the guys at RM250 Suspension do both the front and the rears for us and revalve everything. As you can see, our tire is pretty much shot, and that kind of goes back to the backstory. This bike was stolen out of my garage you know, a long time ago. In about 6 months, we found it out in Lake Arrowhead about 6 months later, and they had taken a lot of parts off. When I brought it back, I had replaced some stuff, and then, you know, life just kind of comes around. So we've got the original pipe. We did replace this radiator back in the day, original stock string. So where we're at right now, we've kind of disassembled the bike, working on the drivetrain. I've got the carb out right now, and we'll get into that when it comes around. But where we're at right now is we've got new chain and sprockets coming. We're going to basically go through this whole bike. Linkage, shock mounts, bearings, wheel bearings, sprockets, chain, brakes, discs, the pistons, the calipers, pretty much what you have seen of a few other channels out there. And right now we're working on this. So what we've done is we basically got the old parts bucket here. We have gotten rid of the chain guide and buffer in here, gotten that off. We got the old 13.2 sprocket out. Here's a new set of pro reeds that are going into the carb. The carb is another fun story. We're going to do that, but we're taking off the chain block right now. Just wanted to point out a couple of things. 2 bolts for the swing arm chain guide, and then of course this all-important spacer that goes behind the sprocket. So got to make sure we get all this stuff done. Right now where we're sitting out on the intake is I've just picked up a I think this was a Moose Racing spacer, and then we've got the carburetor going on. I'm going to be using the stock carburetor. Like I said, I was working on the original carburetor, which is where everything kind of manifested as trouble, but the bike kicks freely. Haven't checked compression yet, but we'll take her around and take a look. See, as you can tell, back in the day, ran SRA. Those were 45-minute Grand Prix. A lot of fun. Wish that group was still around. Ran down here in Carlsbad, which is where we're at, down in San Diego County. Also ran up at Glen Helen. Like I said, original pipe. Got a few issues with the shock. We'll address that when that comes off. We've got new grips on the way. We've got a new throttle cable, throttle assembly. Some of the parts were changed out. Where this kill switch, this is not the original kill switch. That perch is there. You know, I've been using these levers for decades, and I love them. I'm not sure which brand they are, but they got a little cutout. Works out great. Got the Pro Taper bars on there. But like I said, we basically have a free motor. And I think I've got the thing in there, but we've got compression. I just want to make sure that inside there we're not taken care of. I do know when I pulled it across, we basically don't have first gear, so my clutch basket is kind of wasted. I'm looking for a replacement part for that. But like I said, we got the air box, a few of the other things, the goodies we got that came in. We got a new fresh twin air filter hanging out right there. Probably won't be able to use that shot. So we got a new fresh twin air filter right there. We've got that on the books. There it is right there. Fresh twin air. And what else do I have hiding in here right now? I don't know. We got a bunch of parts on the way. Basically got started with stuff. Sprockets, chain. We got a new sprocket coming. All that is supposed to show up in the next couple of days. But where we're at with the intake right now is we're all polished up. I did have some no porting done to the motor. Obviously we've got a sock in there, clogging that up, making sure no debris gets in there. That was the problem with the original carburetor, is that when this bike sat at a time, it happened to be outside, and lo and behold, what do you think happened? Yes, the venerable varmints got into the air box, decided they would eat the air filter and such. So we've got compression. Okay. So in the lower gears, so I'm not going to break into the cases right now, and that's where we're at. So we'll be documenting this as it goes along the way. Like I said, we've got the carb mod. Actually got a local shop working on getting my carb mod off of the old carburetor and onto the new one, and then from there we will get the gas tank cleaned up, clean up this petcock. Everything's good and solid up in the radiators. I'm gonna stick with I'm looking for a pipe right now. I'd love to find a Bill's pipe. A Pro Circuit Works would possibly do as well, but haven't been able to find what I'm looking for. We've got the new chain. I've got the new chain block coming. I've got a cool Renthal setup coming out with an ultralight sprocket in the front. I've got a twin ring going on the back. We're gonna change up the color of this. We're going with black. I've got some gold anodized sprocket studs that'll be here to do that. And I'm actually gonna go to a DID or possibly Excel. Most, yeah, I haven't decided yet. Black rims on this. And of course, we'll get new spokes set up. This is a brand new fresh Dunlop, so it's ready to roll there. And then we'll take care of the front. Still got to work on the suspension. Still got to work on the shock. Here's the problem I've got with the shock, which, you know, happens all the time. The older bikes, the bumper, can't really see it, has disintegrated. And more importantly, in here on the input shaft, on the shock piston shaft, I've got corrosion. And so I'm going to give the guys over at Race Tech a jingle and see if about that. If not, I've actually located a donor bike up in the Elsinore area, I believe. And what we'll do is see if we can negotiate and get that up and see what the condition of it is. Triple camps. But other than that, this has been my bike for decades. And other than not riding it, once it got to that situation in life, I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't necessarily ride it, you know, kids, things of that nature. It was something that I put on the side. Shouldn't have done it, but that's where we're at. We're coming back to it. So, all right, hope you guys are enjoying the channel. Really appreciate it. Smash the like button. Grab the subscribe if you want to catch the updates, and go ahead and toggle that bell as well, and that'll get you updates next time we come live. Talk to you soon.